Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by FPL Salah to preview Game Week 7. Abdul, pleasure to have you back on the channel, my friend. Before we get into your thoughts, the best transfers, tips and advice, as always, for the upcoming game week, first of all, let's have a little look back at your team from Game Week 6. We actually both wildcarded and we have 14 of the same players. Our ranks are on screen. They're not great. But yeah, just talk to me about your team and how you're feeling and how you came to the players that you arrived at on your wildcard.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just looked at the kind of long-term fixtures. There was a few spots in there which kind of I wasn't 100% sure on. I was like, in the Diaz position, I thought maybe it could have been an Eze, it could have even been a Bruno Fernandes, believe it
Oof.
or not. So luckily, I never went for him. And then the Havertz position, it could have been Solanke, but I wanted to attack like the Arsenal fixtures and Liverpool's fixture against Wolves, and I wasn't sure who I wanted in that Luis Diaz spot. Whether it was going to be, it could be Bruno Fernandes in the next few weeks. It could be Eze. It could be another option that emerges. So, yeah, I mean, most of the team, I think, I was totally happy with my team. I know it was a disastrous score, Jack, but these things happen, and I just thought it was a good team, and I'm really happy with the team.
Yeah,
For this game week as well, to be quite honest. So we'll see what happens.
that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, obviously, like neither of our ranks are that good right now. But genuinely, I said this on another video. I'm actually pretty happy with like how I've personally played this season. Like, I like my team as well. It just
Yeah,
I know we have very similar teams, but no, I'm happy with the team that I picked. And as you said, yeah, it's looking very, very strong for next week, which we'll get into in a second. But firstly, just for the people that might have similar ranks to us, million in the millions, which is not ideal. It's not where you want to be, of course. But you were
no.
just telling me off camera about last season, how you also didn't have a particularly good start, but then you had a very strong finish.
Yeah. So I did look at, because I did remember I had a poor start last season. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, so I do save my kind of previous ranks now, kind of just for references and stuff. So last season I was ranked 2.1 million going into game week 8. Right? So again, not too dissimilar to where I am at the moment. I end up finishing 48k, which is a respectable finish, I think.
Yeah.
It's a good finish, in this day and age. Um, but I just remember, with a bit more kind of, I guess, luck or variance here and there, I could have easily ended up, top 20k or even at top 10k if I got, if I, some of the players, had done better than they should. I mean, it's one of those where, I could have finished anywhere between like, I guess 100k and top 10k, ended up 48k, which is a good finish. So the moral of the story is it's way too early to be looking at overall rank and looking at chasing and panicking. Yes, my rank isn't good at the moment. It's not a good start, but that doesn't mean it can't be a good finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just do some quick maths on the fly here. So I have 378 points
Hmm.
and I'm at 2 point whatever million. And you have 350 points and you're like double my rank. So 28 points is 2 million in rank right now. It really isn't that important. And as you say, yeah, if you just play consistently, you just pick
Yeah.
good players, like the team that's about to be on screen, which I will say looks very strong. And I'm happy it looks strong because it's very similar to my team, obviously. Then yeah, surely the points will come as you showed last season. Let's
Yeah.
get into the team for next week then. It just looks super strong.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm really happy with the team, and before wildcard, I was planning to save the transfer, and that's not changed. There is a few scenarios, obviously, in which I might be forced into a transfer, and if Luis Diaz is benched, right? But look, time of recording, it's 12 p.m. Liverpool play later on today. I mean, just because Diaz starts, that doesn't kind of, exclude him from starting at the weekend. Ideally, we'd like him to get, reduced minutes. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But Liverpool is the first kickoff, so if we get any early news, I mean, we have had, early news for Liverpool before the deadline a few times this season. If Diaz is benched, then could possibly look to move him on, because that Diaz position I was looking to move on anyway
Yeah.
in game week 8 or 9. So bringing that 1 week forward is no issue if he's benched against Crystal Palace. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. And another kind of potential issue is Rico Lewis. He played the full 90 minutes last night. If he's benched, then no issues really. I mean, it's obviously not ideal, again, and that'll only be on the basis of getting early news. I could just move Mikolenko into my starting 11. Not interested in using a transfer there, but the Diaz position is quite interesting. If he starts or if we get no news, I'll save the transfer. But if we get news, then there's a few interesting transfer options I'm looking at.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on Lewis. It's just not an issue for me at all. If he's not playing, I'll just say, okay, that's a shame because like the positions that he was taking up in
Yeah.
yesterday's game
I think
were
he got
just
something like
absolute jokes.
1.36 XG or something against
Yeah,
and I was looking at his heat maps and he's playing as like a number 8 or even a number 10. Honestly, he's happy to have him. And look, but when we wildcarded, we knew what we were getting. We knew he's not going to start every game,
yeah,
so there's no point, transferring him out just because he's been benched for one game.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, his numbers were just a joke. I know it's only against like Bratislava. It's not the best team, but still, like he's playing so high on the pitch. It's pretty
Yeah.
unbelievable to see. I mean, I'll
I
just
mean, yeah, I mean those XG numbers for a defender, no matter who the opposition is just phenomenal.
it's a
So
joke. So I'll
yeah,
just I'll just bring up
it really
his
is.
heat map just so people can see from yesterday. If you've not
Yeah,
seen this, like that's a defender right there, and he's
exactly.
playing in like a like well, pretty much like one of the eights, if not a little bit higher up the pitch. It's ridiculous. And yeah, as you said, his stats are pretty insane
Mhm.
for for yeah a defender in FPL. But
Sure.
yeah, he's a good pick, isn't he? Let's be honest. Let's move on to talking about the rest of your team, then I suppose.
Mhm.
Actually I do want to get into Diaz replacements, but before we do that, just
Yeah.
you do have a slight benching headache this week. I'm just interested to see what you're thinking
Mm.
in terms of who's going to be first bench.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bench Rogers, Mikalenko, and Greaves, right, in that
Okay.
order. Obviously, I think it's quite close between Rogers and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I think Calvert-Lewin was a wee bit unlucky not to get into last game. If you look at his XG numbers, they were a lot higher than Rogers. Rogers got taken off in the 64th minute as well,
Yeah.
which was hamstring tightness, but apparently he has trained. And obviously, Villa have got a Champions League, coming up as well. So maybe his minutes will be managed. So I think that substitution last week has made that decision a bit easier for me. I think, playing Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think Rogers obviously scoring, wasn't ideal because I played um, Calvert-Lewin last week instead of him, but I don't want that to influence my decision, and I won't let it. But just even out with that goal, Rogers was subbed, because of I guess a tight
Yeah.
hamstring. So there's no reason why that can't happen again.
Yeah, it's probably not that surprising to be fair that he has picked up some sort of injury
Yeah,
or
I
at
agree.
least some sort of tweak. Just this is the first time he's ever had a run in the Villa
Yeah,
side, and they're playing midweek games,
yeah,
and he's been playing 90s consistently. It's not
yeah.
really that surprising. Maybe this was always going to happen, but yeah, I guess that does make that decision a little bit easier for
Mm.
you. Let's talk about potential Diaz replacements then, because um, yeah, say you do get news that he's benched. If you were going to sell him anyway before the Chelsea game in the next game week, maybe it's a good time to move him on. A player that has come back into the team in last night's fixture in the Champions League, Foden is one that I'm personally looking at.
Yeah.
Could you try and go there?
I mean, possibly. There's so many options, right? Like, first of all, I'll need to decide whether I want like a direct replacement, um, and just use the one transfer. If that's the case, then I've got guys like Madison, Bowen,
Yeah,
who's got Ipswich at home. So I could make a double move instead, and that's what I'm kind of leaning more towards. And there's a few options there. Like as you said, I could get a Foden in. But to do that, I'd probably have to like, I think the downgrade for me would have to be, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
yeah,
For me, because I've got a zero in the bank, which is fine. I can downgrade him. There's plenty of options there. I could even go for a Porro. Um, One option which were kind of exciting me a bit was Diaz to Son and Trent Alexander-Arnold to Gusto. And
oh
uh, so I mean, I know Gusto is a wee bit risky and it's something that I'd look into a wee bit more. But he did play 90 minutes in the last game. He played 45 minutes midweek before that. He got a great fixture. He rotates really well with Mikalenko, and Son's got like good long-term fixtures.
yeah,
Then I could probably look at Palmer, Saka to Palmer in game week 12 or something. When Chelsea play Leicester. So that's my favourite move out of those. But
wow,
again, it could be a Foden, but I think with Foden. yes, he played. He got a goal and assist. I think I'm still not totally convinced with him. With all the benching this season. I'm not convinced he's at that level where Pep's gonna start him every game like he was doing last season.
Okay.
But yeah, Foden, could well be there, but I'm a bit more excited. I think Son's just a more robust option. We know exactly what we're getting with Son. He's starting. He's on penalties, and great fixtures for Spurs going up. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at the moment.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm gonna want some Spurs players at some point for this upcoming run. It looks great. That is aggressive. Like Gusto as well. If he is so good. He's genuinely becoming one of my favorite Chelsea players. He's that good.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean,
obviously he's not as yeah, he does pick up some injuries, but he looks to be back.
yeah, and if I wanted to be a bit more safe and boring, I guess I could go Caldwell. We know he's cheaper as well, and he's nailed. But Gusto's just such. I mean, I just remember last season how attacking he was. I mean,
Yeah.
the attacking positions he takes up. He got 6 assists last season only in 19 starts. And 90 minutes against Brighton, kind of bodes well for me. Yeah. So, and as far as I know, I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but he is, the first choice right back for Chelsea.
Yeah, 100%, no doubt about it. I think the one thing is because we kind of play with a sort of like a back three now with the ball. A centre back can play on that side. We've seen that quite a few times this season when Gusto's not been
Yeah.
injured. Then Cucurella can invert, but so that he doesn't have to play every game. Whereas if you play like a normal back four, you do need a right back there, I suppose. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like he's definitely in the first 11 when he's fit.
Yeah.
He's so good. One of the goals on the weekend, I'm not sure which one it was. He just turns through midfield unbelievably, and then just it gets us playing forward. And I think most players would just try and keep the ball, play back to a centre back, and then we scored from that. I think I just showed immediately like he is top quality. Okay, so those are the moves that you're thinking of. Let's have a look at what the AI is recommending for your team before we talk about captaincy for this game week. Okay, mate, so here are your AI recommended transfers, and it's kind of the opposite of what you were suggesting. You thought you might go for something pretty aggressive. I mean, Son and Gusto in, very aggressive, perhaps slightly more of a minutes risk, which I think is why the AI is recommending these players to be sold and these players to be bought. So Diaz is a player that you mentioned wanting to potentially sell. He is gone. And it's the AI favourite, Eze, is coming back in. And then with that money that you saved there, you can upgrade Lewis, who we've talked up a lot in this video, to Gvardiol, who is probably a little bit more safe for minutes and obviously scored last game week. So what do you think about that? It's a lot safer. I mean, the two players that you're losing are minutes risks. The two players you're getting in are not. But yeah, maybe slightly boring.
Yeah, I think with those moves, I mean, I can see why it's doing it because it's just going for the minutes players. Like, Lewis is a minutes list, we know that. And Guardiola's safer and Eze is just, nailed for 90 minutes every game, possible penalty taker as well. So yeah, I can understand those moves, but I don't know. I just think looking at the fixtures, I prefer my alternatives. Like even like, like the single Diaz to a Bowen or a Madison.
Yeah.
I think Eze is somebody I'll probably look at a bit later on, and I think I've made my bed with Lewis. I don't see me wanting to kind of move him on to another Man City defender, but I could definitely see why the tools recommended that.
I think to be fair, that this is just telling you what you already know, and that Lewis is a minutes risk,
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
yeah, Gvardiol is obviously is a safer pick, as is a
Mm.
safer pick than Diaz. But yeah, as you said, I think that it comes to a point where you need to chase a little bit of upside. And that with Son and Gusto, the upside is definitely there. So I'd be interested to see if you do end up making those moves down the line. And of course, as always, Abdul's final team reveal will be posted on the website, link down below, very close to the deadline. So if you want to know what Abdul ends up going with, then that is the only place to see. And as always as well, if you want to get your own AI recommended transfers, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. They'll be personalized to your team, and it will be the same as what you can see on screen right now. But yeah, with your team taken into account. Okay, those are your AI recommended transfers. Let's round things off with a discussion on captaincy. Last week, we saw for the first time Haaland blank, and there was upside in other players. Salah obviously did very well.
Yeah.
And Saka, I think, was pretty unlucky to. I mean, he still outscored. Did he outscore? Well, how many points did he get? Did he get 2 or 3 in the end? I mean, he was on 5, he was on 9, he was on 7. I don't know how many points he even got.
He got 3 bonus initially, even without the assist, but then after the updates, he went down to 1 bonus. You got 3 points.
Okay.
But really, really unlucky not to get into that game. It was, yeah, it was insane. He got no attacking returns there.
So, talking about this week in particular,
Yeah.
is there an argument to go against Haaland? I mean, in terms of predicted points, I'll just say this before you give your thoughts. He is he is predicted to score more than anyone else this week by a full point, which is quite a lot. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely an argument to go against Haaland here. I mean, like basically Southampton at home for Arsenal is probably, I'd say, the best fixture of the season. You could probably argue it, maybe Ipswich, but I think for me, Southampton are the weakest team
Yeah.
in the league, especially from the promoted teams. So, yeah, I mean, the fixtures there. The thing is, obviously, I mean, Haaland. All right, he's blanked in his last game, but that means nothing with him. Fulham are a much better defense than Southampton, of course, but this is what makes it difficult because the fixture is there for Arsenal, like the best fixture. Saka's a midfielder, he gets more points, for goal, and he's got the assists here as well. But you know, with that fixture there, I mean, Haaland is just so much of a more talismanic player.
Yes. Yeah.
Like so, if they score two, it's going to be likely he's going to at least have one. Whereas, sometimes in certain situations, Arsenal could score maybe three or four, and Saka could just end up with an assist or
Yeah.
something. So that's the reason I'm kind of leaning towards Haaland just now, just because he's just so much of like an XG magnet, just so much more like central to his team. But I can definitely see the upside there with Saka, and if you do want to bet against Haaland this week, then Saka's right there for you.
Just looking at Saka's numbers, I apologize, guys. It's a little bit hard to see on screen, but yeah, his XG this season per game is at 0.28, which is quite low. His XA is a bit higher at 0.37. I kind of get the feeling with him this season in particular. Obviously, it's a small sample size, but also just from watching the Champions League
Yeah.
game yesterday, he does seem like he's more of a creator than a goal scorer this year, which is obviously not the case for Haaland.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've noticed as well, Jack, is his kind of his expected goal numbers. But as you just said, it is a small sample, and it's the first five games. But I think for me, even that's enough just to go with Haaland in this case. I mean, I'm not saying Saka's not going to score many goals this season. That could change. But I think looking at the underlying stats for it, because it's so close, you might as well go for the guy that we know exactly what we're getting.
Yeah.
And that's goals. With Saka. I know he's a great player. He will get, goals and assists throughout the season, but I think there's just a bit more certainty about Haaland this week.
Fair enough. Okay, there we go. That is it for this video. Abdul, thank you very much as always for your tips and advice.
Thank you.
Guys, get in the comments down below. Who are you going to captain? I'm very interested to see what the majority are going to go with. And yeah, that is going to do it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you.